Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in here again on the channel. This is Son of Liberty. So today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at Mossberg's new subcompact 9mm MC1. Now, I was able to get my hands on this for the very first time at the NRA show just a few weeks ago. And I got to tell you, during my interview, I was really impressed with some of the things that they had said during that interview. And if you guys are interested in watching that, I'll make sure to leave a link down below if you've not already seen that. But my first impressions were really good. I really was impressed with the way that the trigger felt. Now, something that I've mentioned before in my previous review of the CZ P10 Compact, how a gun feels in one of those particular shows is sometimes different from what the public actually gets after mass production. So that's what we're here to take a look at. We're here to take a look at all the other features and see how this one stacks up to these other, popular sub $400 guns. So stay tuned, guys. Hey guys, so I am back here at the range for testing part 2 of Mossberg's new subcompact MC1 9mm pistol. So I've already put 250 rounds through this initially during part 1, and I just ran out of time, so I'm back here at the range and I'm going to be doing some additional testing. I want to reach that 500 round threshold. That's important for me. But I'm also going to be testing some ammo tonight. That's specialty carry ammo that I think would be a good fit for this pistol because of some other things. And I'll talk to you guys about that later once I bring it back to the table. So first things first, let me put the additional 250 rounds through it. I'll get the gun cleaned up. We'll bring it back to the table, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper. So what I'd like to do is kind of start at the top of the pistol and kind of work our way down. So with that being said, guys, right off the bat, let's talk about the serrations here. So obviously we have matching front and rear angle cocking serrations. I am a big fan. I like it. I wish that every gun came with it. Obviously that's personal preference. But what I will say is that it seems to be a lot of older generational folks that kind of tend to buy very small compact guns. All right. And I don't know if that is the ease of concealment and those types of things. Obviously, I think that this pistol is going to be a really good contender for women because of the felt recoil, but we'll get into that later. But the benefit of having these types of serrations is obviously if we are talking about someone, maybe they are elderly, maybe they are injured, maybe they don't have as much strength. These serrations, especially if they really bite well, they really aid in the charging of the gun. Okay, and I think that that's one of the things that's really kind of overlooked with the interpretation or the implementation of serrations. Now, me personally, and just because of my shooting style, I really like to run the gun from the front, whether I'm charging it, doing a press check, whether I'm clearing a malfunction. For me, if I have a malfunction, it's a lot quicker for me if I verify that maybe it's a double feed, I would rather just roll the gun, rack the slide from here and hopefully clear that malfunction, roll the gun back out, and then obviously I'm back on target, right? Versus stripping the mag, coming over the slide itself, racking it a few times, back out, reloading the magazine and going from there. I just feel like it's a lot better economy of motion to run it from the front. Again, personal preference, all right? Next, let's talk about the chamfering. I really like it. Obviously, this is kind of a two-style benefit. Number one, it's going to reduce overall weight, all right? But it's also going to aid in, if you are rolling your thumb to actually charge the gun, it just makes it a little bit more comfortable and you're able to reach further over the slide in order to do what you need to do. All right, very reminiscent of the CZP-10 Compact that I reviewed. Next, I want to talk about the sights. These are a low profile, non-snag design, which I really like. They are a 3-dot style system. For me personally, I like a blacked out rear and a brighter front sight or a fiber optic sight. Now, Mossberg actually released 4 different versions of this one. One with a safety, one without a safety, one with upgraded sights, and then a special edition that had like gold engraving on it and so forth. So there are a couple different options out there for you. If you're trying to save money and you're going to go with the basic model like this one, you could simply take some high-vis paint that is sold readily at department store or gun stores and so forth, and that you can get online, and you can actually paint that front sight. That'll help. Or obviously you can just replace them as more manufacturers release different sights for it. However, for a smaller type of gun like this, I really kind of prefer to have a rear flat notch, something that I can charge the gun from it if I need to for one-hand manipulation. Again, that's personal preference, but I believe that they went with this style because more people are going to be carrying a small compact gun like this in a purse, in a jacket pocket, maybe even a cargo pocket. You never know where people are going to carry a small compact gun like this, okay? Maybe it's going to be going into some kind of, maybe like a Vertex bag or something of that nature, okay? A discreet carry option. So I believe that they did go with a good choice with this style of sights, and they're metal and not plastic, so that's a plus right off the bat. So moving on down, we get to the external safety. Now, traditionally speaking, I don't do reviews of a lot of pistols with external safeties. With this particular one, I've actually got to say that I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to have an external safety if you're going to be carrying in a jacket pocket, in a purse, a external bag such as a Vertex or something like that. I don't think it's a bad idea. Now, obviously, I feel like that every pistol should be in a very good secure holster that completely covers the trigger guard. However, that's not necessarily how everyone is going to carry, okay? So with that being said, one of the things that I wanted to look at is, could this safety be accidentally disengaged during the draw process for me with the bottom part of my finger? Or if I slid the finger across it in a let's say a hurried motion in order to prep the trigger or to place the finger inside the trigger guard, could I accidentally depress it before I was ready for it to be? All right. And so I really tried to apply a lot of downward pressure to this part of my finger as I was trying to go for the trigger. And for me, I was unable to disengage it. So that's really a big plus in my opinion. Obviously, because more of the population is right-handed, one of the things that I like about this safety is that, and it's kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but you can see that red indicator there, obviously, as well as on this side. But I like the fact that you can simply look down and determine that the safety, especially for people who may not have the level of training as, you know, some of the people that might be watching this review, they can visually see that it is ready to fire, okay, that the safety is disengaged and it's ready to go. All right. The one thing I have to say is that, you know, at first I was kind of concerned with its placement, but the more that I actually shot it, the more that I played with it, actually I really kind of like where it's at. It's very easy to disengage or actually place the safety on with your thumb, okay, in the shooting position, one-handed, all right? But in order for me to disengage this, I had to make a conscious effort with my finger to disengage it, okay? It wasn't something that I could do with the downward motion of my finger, which I thought I possibly could. And so that was kind of a concern for me. But I've got to say, I think that they actually done a really good job with this low profile safety. All right. All right. So now that we've got the safety cover, moving on down to the magazine release, you can see that the texturing there on the magazine release, I feel like that the magazine release itself is not too small. It's just right. Has a really good positive feel when you depress it. I don't feel that the magazine release kind of holds up or there's any kind of resistance. It just shoots the mags out as long as your hand doesn't interfere with that, which is something that I actually had a problem with. But that's because of my hand size. The texturing that's on here also matches what is here. And these were actually placed here very specifically because if we think about the way that our hand actually grips a pistol or the frame of a pistol, when we apply pressure as we are squeezing, there is inward pressure being applied here, and I guess backward pressure being applied here with this with the actual two bottom fingers. So these were actually placed in very critical areas of the frame. So really good job to Mossberg on that. Now moving on to the rest of the gun. It's got a polymer lower. Again, it's got a really nice feel. You can see here it's actually got some actual cutting out of the polymer there, and so that is essentially what is considered kind of like a glove bevel, if you will. Another thing that you guys may notice here is that the polymer here is a lot wider at the base of the trigger guard and then thins out as it approaches the front. All right. So in my opinion, I believe that they done that, which was a really nice touch, so that they could actually allow a little bit higher of an increase in the cutting area here to allow that finger to ride higher, to be able to get really high up on the gun. All right. I have large size hands, but I also have some pretty aggressive arthritis in my body. One of the target areas is my knuckles, and so over the years my knuckles have swollen due to arthritis. So one of the issues that I have with Glocks is the Glock knuckle. All right, as you may be able to see, you kind of see that kind of arch. They done a really good job of kind of smoothing all of this out and making it very user friendly. I can tell you that I had no issues with any kind of biting or pressure points here in the knuckle with large size hands. So I don't know if you've got really big mittens, but I think for large hands and down, this thing is going to feel really nice in your hands. Now, the magazines was something I wasn't crazy about. I am not a fan of clear plastic magazines. I personally don't feel that the plastic is as strong as polymer. And in my experience, at least with other manufacturers that make clear plastic mags, I feel that they have a tendency to swell and they hang up inside the gun quite often. I didn't have any issues with this magazine. However, out of all the malfunctions that I had, which, if memory serves me correctly, out of all the footage I've looked at, I believe the count was 4. So 4 out of 500 is not bad, okay, by any stretch. But out of all the malfunctions that I had, they were all out of this magazine, and I actually believe it's a spring issue. I'm going to reach out to Mossberg and kind of talk to them about the malfunctions that I had, and see if they will possibly just send me another spring, but I believe that that's what the issue was. Anyway, I do like the fact that they went with a high-vis follower, very reminiscent of the Gen 5 magazine followers as well. But again, one of the issues that I had, again, because of my hand size, especially with this magazine, is if I didn't open my hand up all the way and be able to get it completely clear before I depress the magazine, I wouldn't be able to get this mag out as easily. And so what would happen is sometimes as I was moving my hand, I wouldn't get it all the way out of the way, and it would kind of catch this meaty part of my hand, and it would hang up like it is right now. And when that happens, there's a lot of resistance for some reason in the inside of the mag well when that happens, and 9 out of 10 times I've got to strip the magazine out as I'm going for a reload. Now, I didn't have as much issue with this one. For whatever reason, I was able to kind of open my hand up just enough to get it out, but occasionally I would have a hang up such as this, and I would just have to strip it out. All right, so obviously that's going to come down to training. If you've got smaller size hands, this may not even be an issue for you. All right, so now last but not least, let's talk about this trigger. So the trigger was one of the things that I was the most excited about after I had actually played with a few models that they had at the NRA show. And that was one of the things that I shared with the Mossberg rep, was how excited I was and how great the trigger felt. Now, in that interview, she shared with me that they spent a lot of time in the development of this trigger. Okay, one of the things that I've mentioned before in a previous review that I've done in regards to the CZ-P10 Compact was when I felt the trigger at SHOT Show that year, and one of the things I was concerned about is, was this going to be the trigger that the public got after production? Okay, because sometimes after production, we don't always get exactly what we're actually feeling on those tables. Okay, so that was kind of a concern for me. One of the things that I will say is that I like the fact that they went with a flat face trigger. I believe that as you are pressing the trigger or prepping the trigger to break the shot, you are able to apply more evenly pressure across it, and obviously as long as your other fundamentals are in place, you'll get a nice good break, and I believe that actually aids in not pulling the gun as much due to bad trigger press. Okay, so I like the fact that they went with a flat face. I do like the fact that it has, one of the things that I love about this trigger is that it has a short take up, all right, and it has a very defined wall. For a personal defense weapon, I like my walls to be very crisp and not so much as a soft wall, but a very defined hard wall, and I would describe this as such. Okay, it has a very clear and crisp break. Right, let's take a look at that again. So we have a short reset or a short take up, very defined wall, break, very audible. Okay, something I really like. What I didn't like about the trigger is its reset. Okay, it does have a very audible reset when it reaches the wall, something else I really like and something else that I look for in a trigger. But what I feel on the reset is the polymer dragging on the inside of this frame, and I feel that I am manually having to do all the work to bring the trigger forward. And so if you are more of an advanced shooter, you'll understand this when I say that I like a trigger after I've broken the shot, right, and the gun cycles. I like a trigger that forces my finger forward to the reset wall quicker so that I can break another shot. Okay, with this one, I feel that because the polymer is dragging, I'm having to do a lot of the work to bring my finger forward to get to that reset for the trigger. I'm having to do more of the work that the trigger should do for me. Now, maybe it's this particular model. This just particular gun, I don't know. Maybe it will break in after a few thousand rounds. That's something I'm also not aware of because I've only got 500 rounds in this gun. But again, this is not necessarily the trigger that I felt on the showroom floor, and that was something I was kind of disappointed in. It's not a complete deal breaker for me by any means. As a overall rating, I really give this gun a good rating. It was, as far as I'm concerned, it was very reliable. Other than the small issue that I had with, I believe, a weak spring in one of the magazines. So 4 out of 500 rounds was a malfunction. It feels really good in the hands. It's got a very soft felt recoil. And it's got a really good safety. The sights on it aren't bad. So again, overall, I feel like that this one is actually going to be very popular with a lot of people in the industry. Alright guys, so that is going to conclude this video review of Mossberg's new MC1 subcompact 9mm pistol. I want to thank you guys so much for taking this opportunity to come by my channel and check the review out. Now, if you guys enjoyed it, please consider hitting that like as well as that subscribe button. You guys have no idea how much those two things help a small channel like myself grow. I also want to take this opportunity to give a very special thank you to one of my Instagram followers as well as one of my subscribers here by the name of Chaotic K9. Now, he was very generous and just was moved one day to reach out to me and just wanted to make a donation to my channel. Now, because I'm not on Patreon, I've never had anything like this happen before, but after a brief conversation with him, a few days later, I received, unbeknownst to me what was in the package, but I received a box of 500 9mm Federal ammo, 115 grain. So I was completely blown away by his generosity, and as promised, Chaotic K9, I told you that I would never use it for personal training or classes, that would be strictly used here on this channel for review to give back to you guys. And so again, very special thank you to you for making this video possible. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Guys, I've also got some really cool things coming up here on the channel. Now that I've moved and kind of got settled in, hopefully I'll be able to get some videos rolling out on a more regular basis for you guys. And some of these videos you guys have been asking for. So stay tuned, guys. You don't want to miss that. And as always, until that next video review, guys, take care. Be safe.